it changed me. It changed me. And I basically tell people that with all of these diseases, I mean, I had cancer too, and so many other things. With all of these things and obstacles that I've had, I feel like they were almost given to me, by whatever deity you believe in, to make me a better person and a more empathetic doctor. The way that I was going beforehand, I really didn't. I guess I was like every other physician, where I feel like, the more holistic medicine is quack medicine. There's no science to it, and that's actually complete the opposite. When I learned, going through some conferences, when I learned about holistic medicine, supplements, and dieting, the diets and exercise and things like that, the science behind it was overwhelming. And this is not what is presented to us in medical school and residency. Again, I always say it, what I learned in medical school and residency is 50-year-old medicine. We've learned so much more since then. And doctors, get busy. We don't really go to other conferences. We don't do a lot of continued learning. We kind of stay in our bubble. But I was like, that was one of the obstacles when I was treated, kind of poorly by my peers. That was one of the obstacles I wanted to overcome. It's like, well, if you don't know and you're not comfortable treating patients, well, then that's a sign we need to do something else. We need to find another answer. I mean, how many people are going to come sit in front of you that you're going to say, I don't know, and walk out your door before you're like, okay, it's my responsibility to know and to figure it out. That's the way I look at patients. I look at if somebody is sitting down in front of me, what if that's me sitting there? What if that's my mom sitting there, my child? And some doctor goes, I don't know. Okay, it's been 10 minutes and I'm working on my computer, got to go. How does that make you feel? And so, given all of these obstacles that I've run into, I feel like has just made me more aware that I took on an oath, I took on a job, and my job is going to be to sit and figure it out and study and go until I do find answers. I think doctors these days are very burnt out. I think we've been so hit by the insurance, system. We're also being treated very differently by a lot of patients who feel like, well, I'll just go read on the internet, or I heard this study, or my friend said on Facebook, or things like that. It is almost insulting from time to time to sit in front of people who are like, oh, my mom's a nurse and I read this on the internet. I don't believe what you're saying. People will confront you like that and say things like that. And it's a total disregard for your 23 years of learning and extra study and your illness on top of that, that you've tried to do and give it your best. So, doctors are getting more and more burned out. I also think that the system as a nation is also very, there's a lot of stigma about integrative or functional medicine, and we really need I think the system tries to drive us into more algorithms and guidelines to treat everybody kind of the same and to support the pharmaceutical system. And there is not a lot of room for the art of medicine, the free thinking, the try this, to work with your patient, to listen. You can't spend the time you want to with people. You're always in a hurry. There's too much paperwork. And so, there are all of those factors, I think, that play a role in making, doctors, the doctors that they are today. And I just thought it was my responsibility to overcome that. I don't want to be that type of physician, no matter what the insurance or government or anybody else says. That's not why I got into this. So it may be a little simplistic from my point of view, but it's been a battle to stay in the game and take care of people the way I'm supposed to.
I believe that because we run into doctors all the time that they're the opposite of you.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the system, and it's running the way they want it to run, which is let's get these people in and out,
yeah,
and figure out what we can bill for, and that's it. They're not actually there to heal. They're there to take care of people while they're sick, which is much different from healing anybody.
There's a corporate side, if you don't mind me saying, there's a corporate side to medicine. I know that I run my own show here. I own my own business. There is not a corporate leader, breathing down my neck about, am I following these strict guidelines? Am I seeing this many patients? Am I doing all of those more administrative things? I own my own business. I can make my own decision. I can pick up a phone and yell at somebody at the insurance company, hey, I want them to have this medicine. It's indicated. I'm a doctor. You need to put this person on the medicine and fight for them. But so many physicians now can't fight the system. And we do have to see 30, 40 people a day because our paychecks are, 30, 40, $60 a patient. And that, you've got in my sphere here, I've got overhead. I've got, another practitioner to pay. I've got the rent to pay. I've got myself to pay ultimately. And what's really sad is that at one point in the last couple of years after COVID, my nurse practitioner took home, his take home pay was more than what I took home for myself out of my own business. That is not easy, folks. I've got 3 kids in college. It's not easy.
How this is what drives me crazy about the current healthcare system. We will pay $80,000 per person per year for dialysis, but we won't spend money on preventative care.
Absolutely.
Because what you're doing, in many cases, you're the place where preventative care can be done.
Absolutely. And that is probably where my heart and soul is in practice at this point, is trying to find ways that I can prevent somebody from going down that road.
Yeah.
We can catch it. We can. And there are so many certain types of testing and lab tests and things in a person's history and things. This is not a mystery, folks. None of this is a mystery. We know, we have treatments. We know what can prevent and work, but we're so backwards. And we're, like you say, how we are focusing, we're waiting until somebody gets sick and then footing the bill to just keep them alive. But I heard something the other day that kind of woke me up a little bit. And it is, a lot of insurances, the way that they view coverage is that they'll, like, if they pick up a big corporation like, USAA, and I'm not saying anything about anybody here in town or anything, but if they pick up a large corporation and the insurance is covering them, they know by the next year that corporation is going to go out and get a bid for a new insurance to get a cheaper rate, a cheaper premium, and that they won't have to take care of all those people anymore. It'll get passed on to somebody else. So they want to spend as little as possible to do the coverage for 1 year until they can unload and get people away and pick up a new group of people and start over again. It's a money game.
Dr. Pinkston, given the complexity of that, right? So just, the complexity of everything you just described, how do we as ordinary people, advocate for ourselves in an intelligent way? Because I never want to be that guy who says, well, I saw on web on Kevin, Dr. Kevin Google's the following, right? How do we, in the midst of all that complexity, right? How do we advocate for ourselves in a rational manner that doesn't, that strikes a balance between respecting the expert, expecting the expert to give us the best opinion, but then at the same time realizing, hey, you're operating in a system and in an environment that sometimes can be anti-prevention for me as a patient.
Right. That is a great question, and probably the $1 million question. As in, if I could answer that, I would have already written my book and did the movie and be in Tahiti right now, But I do think there are things that we can do. First of all, get to know who your congressman is. There's a lot of insurances that are on a federal level. There's a lot of insurances that are on a state level. So get to know your governor's office, your Senate and congressman, and write letters and just be the squeaky wheel. It's easy to do. In fact, you can do a lot of those letters online now. You can look it up, and I would love to provide a website. I know I have one somewhere, and I can get that to you. But, you just write a letter and write it often, and just make sure that our politicians know. Not that I have a lot of faith in, the political field. But I have met some people grassroots wise who are willing to do that. The other thing too is to educate yourself. Now, by education, I'm like you. I don't mean go to Google and just, study things on your own, try to find solutions and answers on your own, but look at your area. Look at where is the doctor in a large mass system? Are they on their own, or do they practice a style of medicine that is geared more, more toward their continuing education or an integrative sense or whatnot, a prevention? I think that most people really don't understand that they can hire and fire their physician. Just because your insurance assigns you to somebody doesn't mean that's who you have to go to. And as long as the doctor's on insurance, then they'll pay for it. But even some insurances will pay for doctors that are out of network. So if I don't take that insurance, I can still get a certain amount of payments from the insurance just because I'm out of network and that patient wants to choose me. I guess the taking back your power is about just educating yourself more about what's going on around you, at a local level. We do have people in town that are great advocates. There are societies, if it's cancer or rheumatoid or things like that, that are working on a national level to try to change medicine. And I do think
like Texas Kidney Foundation.
Like the Texas Kidney Foundation.
You want to join, you want to look at whatever it is that you have.
Yes.
So if it's cancer, then you want to go look at that particular form of cancer. If it's kidneys, look at the Texas Kidney Foundation. If it's diabetes, look at the American Diabetes Association.
Right.
You can educate yourself with those organizations, and you can kind of harness the power of those different groups and get involved. That way, when you're dealing with your physician, because like with Texas Kidney Foundation, if there's something like, say you need to go see your physician, we have know your numbers, so you can take that with you and go in, talk to your physician. You're a care team.
Yes.
It's not you against them. You're a team.
Exactly.
So engage that way. But you have the power and the agency to do what you need to do. You just have to go find the right people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Reggie, tell a little bit of your story on, I know we shared it on the radio station, right? Your kidney journey, how you eventually got to the right person who was able to help you secure a transplantation, whereas you've been told previously, even though Edie was a match, you're like, it's not a good match, but they didn't take it to the next level, and you went to dialysis from there. Tell us a little bit about that.
First thing was addressed what Tiff said about the American Diabetes Association. You got to be careful. You got to read for yourself, because they still got pork chops and stuff on the menu each day.
Are you serious? You're not being funny. I hope you're being funny.
They still got beef and milk and all that stuff on there. But anyway.
High purine stuff that shouldn't be there, but okay.
Yeah, right. But anyway, no, my journey, man, was, when I found out, I knew I had the kidney situation. But my kidney doctor, he's a real good doctor. Everybody recommended him. He's a good doctor, but he never told me that it was to the point that I may need a kidney. I mean, he wasn't really, going, sometimes I think you have to advocate for yourself, because, so you know how your body, we know our bodies better than the doctor know our bodies. We know what we feel inside of us. I remember I had ruptured my Achilles tendon on stage in Bermuda, and I popped it. And so they was going to do surgery, and I said, no, I'm not going to do surgery. I'm just going to let it, go back together. So what I used to do, I used to rollerblade, and every time I took the rollerblades off, it was stronger and stronger and stronger, that I didn't have to get the surgery. And I was like back I was like pretty much 100%. Now, doctors don't know this, but that's what happened to me. I didn't have to get the surgery because I did a little accidental thing. I didn't know nothing about that, but and I just said that to say you have to advocate for yourself, because sometimes when you go into a doctor, when I went to my kidney doctor, he was just telling me that, okay, we're going to try to do this, we're going to try to do that. And I don't know if he wanted to he didn't want to scare me, but I would rather be, shocked into doing the right thing in order to do this, like sugarcoating. So he never really told me that this kidney situation, I was going to have to probably go on dialysis or whatever. But another doctor that I met on the accident, because I had a little heart palpitation, and I went into that doctor. He told me, "Hey man, you probably have to get you a kidney. We do a exchange program. You want to get a kidney, blah blah blah. Somebody that want to give you a kidney, don't have to be a perfect match. If they want to donate, they'll donate." So my wife was my donor, and we was a perfect match, man. Everything matched, but her size was she was a lot smaller than me. So they wanted to get a kidney that matched my body type. So they found another one. My wife gave her kidney to a guy here in LA, and my kidney, the girl kidney from, I think she was from North Carolina somewhere, went to me, and she had a friend in Florida, got a kidney because she gave her kidney to me. So her friend got a kidney because of her contribution, and that's how my thing happened. So I knew something wasn't right with my body because the swelling that I was having, and I just didn't feel right. The doctor knew that also, but for some reason he never mentioned kidney transplant. He kind of mentioned in passing about dialysis, but it wasn't. He didn't take it to the point of what my Dr. Maserani did in Long Beach. I mean, he was really adamant about me. Hey man, we have to do this now. So I didn't have to stay on dialysis long, and got my kidney, and I'm fine now.
Can I say something about that? Because that is, your story is so typical. I mean, typical. And I don't understand why doctors really don't want to open up and give you even worst case scenario, because this is your life. And what I have noticed personally about kidney disease and what I do here in my clinic is very, very different than what a lot of doctors do. And it's very different than what a lot of nephrologists do. I check certain labs and try to detect certain things that I know affect the kidneys that a lot of doctors don't check. But I just check like uric acid, for instance. Uric acid is a mineral that is in our blood, and we have to have some, but too much or too little of anything is never a good thing. And uric acid, when you're either eating or consuming too much, making too much, or you're not getting rid of it, tends to be in the bloodstream. It's very acidic. It's very inflammatory. When somebody gets uric acid in their joint and they get a red hot joint, it's called gout, right? But if it's not in the joint, it's somewhere and it's going through your bloodstream. So it goes through the kidney, the brain, the heart, the blood vessels, and it's all very inflammatory, but you don't feel it. But I check kidney function every 3 months on the majority of my patients. If I see somebody slip below about 90 on their GFR, then I'm on it. That's it. Because if you there are some doctors they've had a GFR somewhere around, like a 50, 40, even 30. I even had a guy who was 29 and I caught it and I sent him to the nephrologist, and the nephrologist said, well, we're just going to watch it. I was like, at 29? And we have these medications called SGLT2 inhibitors. We have now Corindia.
Those. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I took one of those a long time ago before they knew that SGLT2s were good for the kidneys. And I still to this day think that was part of what pulled me out. I took it for diabetes and to lose a little weight. And I still to this day, it's called Invokana. And to this day, I will tell you that helps spare my kidneys. So we have these things. Why? I was like, you went to the nephrologist and he didn't put you on those medications? No.
Just we've had them for 10 years. 10 years.
It was 10 years ago I had kidney disease. I took it.
Never heard of it.
It just blows my mind. They just don't. They don't check. So, I've had people be very, very low in the GFR. They don't even get a kidney profile. There's very simple tests that you can do. This is treatable, catchable. Many doctors just don't. I don't know. I was never trained really well in, the physiology of the kidney. It was more about blood pressure and just urination and UTIs and kidney infections and things like that. I didn't really learn about, how to handle somebody in glomerular filtration rate and creatine and all that. It was, those are things that were just kind of swept to the side. And we have ways of treating kidneys these days that nobody should go down with kidney disease. Nobody.
And that is an awesome way to end this segment. And you've been listening to On the Record with Kevin and Tiffany on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, home of conservative talk radio.